Hey, I'm Dave Rubin and this is TYT140, a lot of news in a little time. As divers continue the grim work of pulling bodies from the submerged South Korean ferry that capsized last week, killing more than 150 people, the South Korean government has begun investigating the disaster as a negligent homicide. The ship's captain and other crew members have been arrested, while government agents have raided the home of the ferry company president. Meanwhile, CNN has announced that they will provide continued coverage of this disaster, even though the overturned ferry has been located. Federal investigators have determined that a lack of oversight and regulations contributed to last year's deadly fertilizer plant explosion in the town of West Texas that killed 14 people. Failures listed included poor handling of explosive materials, lack of emergency response planning, and non-existent statewide fire codes. So what do fertilizer plants and Republican politicians who label government regulation as useless have in common? They're both full of, well, it. South Carolina legislators recently voted to cut funding for the College of Charleston as punishment for assigning Fun Home, a graphic novel by lesbian author Alison Bechdel, to incoming freshmen. The college later hosted a performance of the musical based on the novel, causing the state's anti-gay legislators to call for even deeper cuts to the school's funding. At its core, this controversy raises an important constitutional question. Specifically, does compelling students to read lesbian fiction qualify as cruel and unusual punishment? Former Vice President Al Gore walked his daughter Sarah down the aisle this past weekend at her wedding to pianist Patrick Miani. Both Gore and his ex-wife Tipper attended the low-key ceremony in Carpinteria, California. While sipping coffee afterwards at a local cafe, the former Veep expressed delight at the ceremony and relief that the Supreme Court hadn't stepped in at the last minute to award the marriage to one of the Bush daughters instead. And finally, a Kansas man charged with first-degree murder is concerned that his neck tattoo, which spells out the word murder, may prejudice a jury against him. The accused killer, Jeffrey Chapman, has requested that sheriffs escort him to a licensed tattoo facility to have the tattoo removed. Either way, you know Chapman is just kicking himself thinking, I really should have gone with the neck tattoo that said not a murderer. I'm Dave Rubin. Follow us on Twitter at TYT140 and suggest stories using hashtag TYT140. We'll see you tomorrow.